Hey, good morning, y'all. Joshua Severe Weather. Happy Friday to you. Lots of weather to talk about here. I'm going to share my screen with you and get to what's going to be a pretty big outbreak of severe weather across portions of the south central United States here over the weekend. We've got a more active storm track returning after what's been kind of a quieter stretch than average. But we are likely to see an outbreak of severe weather over the weekend, starting in Texas and Oklahoma tomorrow, and then spreading into portions of the deep south as we get later on into the weekend. So definitely be prepared for that. Here's what we're seeing on the upper level charts here. We've got a pretty big trough leaving the eastern United States, another trough moving into the southwest. And between the two, winds aloft are strengthening here this weekend. So we see a much faster flow moving through the southern portions of the United States. And this is going to push storms along faster. We've seen kind of things in slow motion here due to blocking over eastern Canada and the northern Atlantic. That blocking is going away, and now we see things moving along a lot quicker. And with faster wind flow and heating of the day, we get more intense storms over parts of the southern United States. That active pattern continues next week. You can see all this fast flow aloft in the jet stream over our subtropical jet, and that's going to continue to move things along. We are going to see an upper low dropping into the Great Lakes. That's going to push the wind flow around. And instead of all of the air coming out of smoky Quebec, it's now going to get reversed and pushed northward. You can see these southerly wind barbs here that are pushing things back into Canada where they belong, I guess, if you're in the Northeast here. But that pattern continues into this week coming up. And as we get on into further weeks, we're going to see the jet stream shifting northward, bringing more active weather back into the northern parts of the United States. Where it's going to get hotter across portions of the south. So some changes coming in the jet stream. Here is 700 millibars, and I use this to show you guys we are going to actually have a bit of what's called a mesoscale convective vortex, MCV. This is added spin in the mid-levels of the atmosphere. This is what continues to bring severe thunderstorm complexes and generates them and continues to bring that spin in the atmosphere that can persist these storm complexes. And you can see this is tomorrow evening, one complex moving down into Louisiana. As we get on into next week, we see another complex likely to get going here over North Texas or Oklahoma sometime Monday or Monday night. And that quickly moves eastward into Mississippi and Alabama next Tuesday. And an additional complex which may come across the Arklatex region into Mississippi here next Thursday. But as we get farther along into the future, that certainty level does drop down. So it is very tough to predict the exact timing and location of that. But you can see there's going to be a lot going on here over the southern United States in the next couple of days, really the next week or so. Here's a look at the GFS chart, and you can see we are going to see nice quiet weather in the southeast, but storms building here over the weekend and moving east and southeastward here in multiple complexes. And eventually they get into the southeast and the Carolinas here later Sunday into Monday, while the Great Lakes are going to see some needed rain, it looks like, as we get into the weekend here, and maybe some stronger storms as well over the Ohio River Valley and Tennessee Valley here on Sunday. The rain is very much needed. It'll be welcomed. It's going to help improve the air quality here as we get into the beginning of next week over the Northeast. And we continue to stay unsettled across the Northeast through the majority of next week while some drier, cooler air pushes down into the Carolinas once again. We've got a boundary that's going to sit here over the I-20 corridor here next Wednesday and Thursday, and that's going to serve as the line between the really nasty, hot, humid air in the Gulf states and the more comfortable air across the mid-Atlantic region and the lower and middle parts of the Ohio Valley here. As we get farther into the following weekend, we'll see storms becoming more common farther north, places like Minnesota, Iowa, and Nebraska here by the following weekend as that jet stream starts shifting back up to the north. We are expecting some areas of marginal severe weather later today into tonight from about Denver, Colorado down to about Tulsa and back into southwest Texas. We also could have some severe weather over parts of northern Florida and southern Georgia. But really tomorrow is the day that I'm watching. We're going to have that mesoscale convective vortex allowing storms to pop up and move more quickly across northeast Texas, southern Oklahoma, and sneaking into northwestern Louisiana tomorrow night. With this, it's primarily going to be a wind and hail threat. Here is a look at the severe wind threat, 30% across this entire region. The tornado threat is not as high, but there is some chance around the Red River and to the north side of the Metroplex here. But look at the hail threat. We could see some really big hail along the Red River. That seems to be an area that likes to get hit with hail this time of the year, but that is the case. Places like Ardmore, McKinney, Texas, Fort Worth, Grapevine, Texas, all going to be in that risk for severe weather. And then on day 3, we do see that risk for severe weather shifting north and east into Arkansas, northern Mississippi, northwestern Alabama, the western half of Tennessee, all the way to about Nashville, western Kentucky, downstate Illinois, southwest Indiana, southeastern portions of Missouri. So a bigger area that is in that slight risk area here for day 3. Beyond that, there's really no outlook for severe weather picked out at this point from Monday and on, but I do think there will be, or really Tuesday and on, but I do think there will be some severe weather as we get into next week as well, mainly in the same areas, it looks like, before things do shift back up to the north. Here is a look at some of the more details here on the NAM. You can see the significant parameter for some tornadoes. This is where wind shear starts picking up. Pretty low for the time being, but then as we get into the afternoon tomorrow, we do see those numbers start to climb here along the Red River in the afternoon. Doesn't mean we're going to have a strong tornado, but there could be a few tornadoes. And then that starts to wane towards the evening. And then as we get into the day on Sunday, we will start seeing these numbers coming back up farther eastward into Mississippi, northern Louisiana, northeast Texas. This is no guarantee we're going to have strong tornadoes. It just shows where the wind shear starts climbing. So that's what I'm going to be watching for you guys here on Sunday. Here's a look at the rapid refresh forecast system. You can see there will be some storms popping up this afternoon within the heating of the day around the Dallas-Fort Worth area, maybe down to San Antonio, all the way up into southeastern Kansas. Just air mass thunderstorms. Maybe there could be some hail or some locally strong downbursts from these. But really, the more organized severe weather looks like it's going to fire up tomorrow afternoon along the Red River. You can kind of see that here. This is around lunchtime tomorrow and then continuing into the afternoon, evening, and more storms firing up over Texas, as well as perhaps over parts of south central Oklahoma here towards tomorrow evening. These will die off at night. We'll see additional storms Sunday, probably in the afternoon hours. Right now looks quiet up until about 1 in the afternoon. I'm going to zoom in a little closer so you guys can start seeing some place names and some timestamps here. This is later today, and again, just scattered showers and storms at this point. Tomorrow, though, you can see along the Red River, we may see things moving through as quickly as 10 or 11 in the morning around Sherman, McKinney, Gainesville, Texas, and then going over towards Paris, Texas, and the far southeastern corner of Oklahoma here around lunchtime. So the RRFS is a little bit quicker on this timing than some of the other models. As you can see, things are already moving out. But look at the Dallas-Fort Worth area around 3, 4 in the afternoon, and then heading over towards Shreveport as well. Oops, I don't know why that jumped there, but let's do this. But you can see additional storms firing up on the south side of the Metroplex mid-afternoon tomorrow around Cleburne, then Waco and Killeen. Could see stronger storms here late in the afternoon, Tyler as well towards dinner time tomorrow. And then things are going to shift away to the south and east and weaken over the evening hours as they move into more stable air in southeastern Texas. Here's a look at the southeast, and you can see as we go through the day today, air mass thunderstorms. Some of these could be a little on the strong side around Jacksonville, maybe over to just south of Tallahassee. This is 5 o'clock Eastern. We'll see more air mass storms in Louisiana as well. That could impact some of the college baseball super regional games, say in Baton Rouge, for example. And then those storms head into Mississippi and then fade this evening. As we get into the day tomorrow, we are going to see this complex of storms moving quickly into northern Louisiana and southern Arkansas around 4 or 5 o'clock. Along ahead of it, additional storms could trigger some locally severe weather, maybe some hail around the Ark-La-Miss region, even over to Jackson, Mississippi, around 5, 6 o'clock tomorrow. And then those storms are going to be in a weakening trend in the evening hours. And then heading to the Gulf, things should fade. Sunday, this model does not go out beyond 1 or 2 in the afternoon, but I think we're going to see additional storms in this region here. Let me see if I can show you the NAM model for that, so you can see a little bit farther into the future here. It may not go beyond 60 hours, actually. But yeah, you can see some morning showers and storms, then a bit of a break in the activity. And I'll show you the European here, since that goes out a little. Actually, I'll just show you the NAM here at 84. And you can see throughout the evening, we're likely to see another storm complex moving south and east across the middle parts of Tennessee. Let me shift that north for you guys just a little bit so you can see the Ohio Valley as well. So this is Sunday morning, and we can see the threat for some severe weather over western Kentucky, western Tennessee, and northern Mississippi through the afternoon, and then moving farther south and east towards the evening hours as this front shifts through the area. It doesn't look like it's going to be as bad in Missouri, western Kentucky, downstate Illinois as it could be over, say, southwest Tennessee. But this model could certainly shift still a little bit more. Let's take a look at smoke now, and it's been really bad across the mid-Atlantic region. This is from the HRRR model. A lot of people are asking me where the smoke has originated from. We've seen wildfires over Quebec over the last couple of weeks. These were not triggered by anything but lightning. So we had thunderstorms after a dry and cool season here in early May. We had thunderstorms along boundaries that came down into that high pressure ridge last week. Those ignited brush fires, which very quickly spread due to that fast moving flow from the north to the south. And that is what has allowed this smoke to move into the eastern United States and the Great Lakes region here. Now, as the day wears on, you can see things start to slowly improve. There's still some smoky conditions, but things gradually improve here through the afternoon and then into tomorrow. There will be additional smoke, though, over parts of Quebec as we continue to have very dry conditions and fast flow aloft, but the flow is going to shift, and that's going to allow a lot of this to disperse. So some improvement here coming in a quick manner here, over the weekend. You zoom in here and show you the Northeast. I thought I had another graphic of this, but I guess I didn't. Maybe I did. Oh, there it is. In the Northeast, we can see still some pretty rough weather across Pennsylvania and Ohio. Still some smoke this morning into Delaware, but the colors do get less and less bright, meaning the density of the smoke does slowly diminish here. And by tomorrow, we do still see some smoke over parts of West Virginia and Virginia, but overall, things are definitely improved, which is great news for us here. This is the Baltimore area and the DC area, the DMV. You can see the DMV does improve slowly, but when you get up to Baltimore, central Maryland, southern Pennsylvania, and Delaware, especially this afternoon, it's still going to be pretty bad out there. And then into the evening hours and overnight, we do see some gradual improvement. And by tomorrow afternoon, I think if you're heading outside, while people with sensitivities are still going to be impacted, overall, it's going to be improving. So some great news coming for you there tomorrow. Pennsylvania, really nasty this morning, though, over central Pennsylvania, places like Clearfield, Du Bois, and State College. But as we get later into the day, we are going to see gradual improvement by 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. Western New York, still some smoke in the air, but gradual improvement here over the weekend and much better as we get towards Sunday. So I do have better news for you guys coming there. In Ohio and Michigan, we're seeing things improving as well. Still some smoke this morning, though, along Lake Erie and then pushing southward towards the I-70 corridor. But as we get later into the day today, overall improvement. Toledo could still have some smoky conditions around this evening. And then tomorrow we see a lot more improvement coming. And by the afternoon, pretty much everybody in Ohio and Michigan should see a big improvement coming. All right, the other big news, El Niño has been declared. We are now about 1 degree Celsius above average across the Pacific Basin. This is the index. You can see 0.976 as of yesterday afternoon. Here is that area of warming, and you can see it very clearly here over the central and eastern Pacific, but the rest of the Pacific is also running above average as well. This is going to have more ramifications on what we get this fall and winter. So stay tuned on that. Let me go find the tropics now. Pretty quiet in the Atlantic. That'll continue to be the case at least for another week. After that, we may start to see some slow development in the Western Caribbean. We do have a good flare up here continuing over Cuba. More very heavy rainfall over Cuba and the Bahamas. It has not been a good week to be down there. Flash flooding likely here. And then you can see a trough pushing southeast across the eastern Gulf of Mexico. Let me bring up my cursor for you guys here. Every time I start a new video, I've got to redraw everything. But here you can see the fast flow aloft out of the northwest. There's a bit of an upper level disturbance here moving across the central and eastern Gulf. That could enhance some moisture here over southern Florida, but more likely we're going to just continue to see disorganized showers and storms moving out of this area. Now, as we get beyond about a week from today, what we're going to see is this trough here is going to retrograde and lift northeastward. And we're going to see a region of high pressure building in here and region of high pressure continuing in here. In between the two, we're going to see lower amounts of wind shear and what could be some sort of tropical development here in the southwestern Caribbean as we get a bit of a gyre here. That gyre is just going to spin and spin and spin. The GFS shows it on the Caribbean side, whereas some of the other models show it on the Pacific side. So until that gyre gets going, we don't really know what's going to happen here in the tropics, but the GFS model continues to show development here over the Western Caribbean. It is slowing things down, not surprisingly, but shows something around the 18th and 19th in the Gulf of Honduras. And then this is the only model that goes beyond 10 days, but it continues to show tropical development and a storm system moving into the Gulf of Mexico, and maybe potentially a strong storm system. This one has it moving towards the east side of Houston. Now, some people are going to say, why in the world are you showing me a model that's more than 10 days out? You know that's not going to happen. I 100% agree with you on that. But I just want to show you how uncertain this model has been over time. When you go, whoops, let me make this smaller so that you guys can actually see it fit in the screen. I'm sorry. Try to show people text, but it does complicate things a little bit here. So this is the run before. So the current run has it over the central Gulf. The run before has a weaker system over the eastern Gulf. So you can see it's just bouncing around left and right all over the Gulf, not really any consistency. So do I think we could have a named storm Brett in the Gulf? I certainly think that's possible. Do I think it's going to be a Cat 2 or Cat 3 hitting the northern Gulf Coast? Right now, I think that is very far-fetched. So stay tuned on that. We're going to have a bit of a better handle by the end of next week and the end of next weekend. So really another 6 or 7 days needs to go by before we can start making any kind of bold predictions. All right, we do have a typhoon in the Western Pacific. This is Gukul. This is the Philippine Sea. You can see it's already starting to move north and will be recurving. That could impact the weather in the jet stream across the Pacific as we get on into the last part of the month of June. You can see winds are 100 miles per hour, so nothing as strong as what we saw a couple weeks ago with Mawar. It's going to stay east of Japan here, and very good news for the Philippines and Taiwan. This is not going to be a threat. So I wanted to show you that. Here's the ensemble forecast, taking it to the south and east of Japan and weakening it. And then we could see a remnant low somewhere near the Aleutians of Alaska, and that could jazz up the jet stream here in about a week and a half, 2 weeks. Here's the other cyclone I'm watching by Parjoy, and this is in the Arabian Sea, south and west of India. And the models are still struggling with how this thing is going to develop and move. Overall, we're seeing a shift to the right, but the cone of uncertainty is still larger than average. It includes India, Pakistan. It does have a little bit of the Gulf of Oman and Oman as well in it. Wind forecast up to 105 miles per hour, but a lot of the models are continuing to ramp this up into a stronger storm system. This is the GFS, and you can see yesterday strengthening it into a strong cyclone, moving it towards the Gulf of Oman and then weakening it. Over time, though, the model has been correcting to the right. So the GFS, again, is struggling to see where the storm is going to go. You can see eventually, as each model run goes on, it shifts eastward towards Pakistan. And if this trend continues, we may be seeing a landfall actually on the India side of this border. But nonetheless, a slow-moving storm and one that certainly could cause us some issues here. So in India and Pakistan. This is the ICON model, and it shows a very strong storm here over the weekend into the 920s. That would have 140, 150 mile per hour wind. And then you can see it just kind of struggles to move northward, weakens over cooler waters near the Pakistan coastline. And the HWRF model continues to have this going to where the GFS had it, and that's back towards Oman. So stay tuned on that one. I'll give you guys more updates. I know some of you don't really care about what's going on across the ocean, and that's fine. I can understand that. But some of you do have some origins out there, some relatives and concerns. So I just want to get it out there and just show you all what's going on worldwide. I appreciate your time today. I hope you all have a wonderful Friday. Try to get you another video out in the morning. Please consider subscribing if you like this video. And I thank you for your time. And I want to give all the glory to God, Yahweh, who gives me the calling to share the weather with you, to help save lives, to help you guys plan, and to share the holy word of God with you, because that's what God has called me to do. Romans 12, 1 and 2. King James Version, I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that ye present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service. and be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove what is good and acceptable and perfect will of God. The Lord has, Paul has told us through the Lord that we are to sacrifice worldly desires. We are to put the past in the past and look to God to the future. We are to trust in Jesus, that his sacrifice is going to lead us to eternal life, and that we do all that is acceptable to God and to basically show our worth through him. Nobody here is unworthy, but people who believe in God have been given that right of eternal life. And that is basically not falling back and trying to please the world, please your friends, please other people, but to do what is pleasing to God. And I believe that God has given me this calling to do what is pleasing to him, to share this word with you. And that is the reason behind why I do what I do, why I've got this weather channel, why I'm stepping away from what I do for my day job to do this for you guys early every day. And I really appreciate your time. I'm happy to pray for you if you have any prayer requests. And I really hope you all have a wonderful Friday. Thank you, and God bless you.